August 28th, 2011, Daegu, South Korea. Usain Bolt lines up for the final of the World Championship 100-meter dash, where he looks to defend his title from 2009, where he had the greatest sprinting season of all time and ran a 9.58-second 100-meter dash, which set the world record. All eyes were on the 25-year-old sprinter from Jamaica as he jokes with the crowd and names are being called. All 8 runners get into their blocks. On your mark, set.
I believe Usain Bolt false started. I think Usain Bolt just false started.
Usain Bolt false starts and the crowd is shocked. The reigning world champion and the world record holder would no longer be able to defend his crown. But what if this never happened? Before we talk about what happened on August 28th, we have to talk about what happened in 2009. In 2009, Usain Bolt had the best sprinting season of all time. Not only did he set the world record, he went undefeated and was insanely consistent doing so throughout the entire season. Separated by just 4 days, he sets 2 of the most untouchable sprinting world records of all time. On August 16th, he runs a 9.58, and then on August 20th, he runs a 19.19 in the 200 meters. Even with no world championship in 2010, he still manages to run sub 9.9 3 times in a row, despite there not being a real reason to run this fast. This then takes us to 2011, where by Usain Bolt's standard, he was having a pretty standard season. He had ran 9.91 twice and then 9.88 once going into the World Championships. Despite this, everyone knows that Usain Bolt shows up when it matters the most, in August. Going into this championship, he was 4 for 4 when it came to gold medals and world records in both the 100 and 200. So when it comes to showing up in the biggest moments, Usain Bolt does it time and time again. Bolt was lined up next to his fellow countryman, Yohan Blake. Yohan Blake is in the prime of his career at this point. He will go on just next season to run a second fastest time in the world with a 9.69, and he was coming into this race running a 9.95. While Bolt is still the clear favorite, he definitely has his work cut out for him. Everyone in the world knows that Usain Bolt is going to win this race. He's the fastest, he's the favorite, and he shows up in big moments. And also, he has never false started in his entire career. And so that makes this moment even more strange. Not only was Usain Bolt upset, taking off his uniform, laying down on the track, and clearly being very angry, but everyone else was as well. All the fans, everyone watching at home was upset because this was supposed to be another world record and we were robbed of it by a false start. Following this race, everybody began to question the one and done rule. Was it really fair that you only get one opportunity to false start? Because before this, everyone was given a second chance. So even if you false started once, you were still able to get another opportunity to compete. But right before this competition, they changed that completely. Now, Usain Bolt finally leaves the track and the 7 remaining athletes line up. Yohan Blake takes advantage of the fact that Usain Bolt is not in this race and ends up getting the win with a time of 9.92, running into a negative 1.4 headwind. This would end up being the only time that Yohan Blake would win a 100-meter world championship. And so then that brings the question: what would happen if Usain Bolt didn't false start? Well, we actually have a pretty good idea of what he could have ran, because just a few days later on September 3rd, he ends up winning the 200 meters with a time of 19.40. Knowing that Usain Bolt shows up when it matters the most, and he had been on a 4 straight streak of setting world championship records, this was primed to be yet another great competition. Based on the numbers, Usain Bolt would have ran a 9.69 in the 100-meter final at the World Championship. The reason for this time is because 7 out of the 11 years that Usain Bolt competed as a professional, his season best was set in the month of August. Going into this meet, he had ran a 9.88. In every major championship, when Usain Bolt was doing the 100 and 200 meter double, his times were always within 20 points of each other when it comes to the world athletics scoring. And in the 200 that he did just a few days later, he received 1,316 points. When you compare that to what it would have been in the 100, that would be a 9.69. Now, you have to take into consideration the fact that it was a negative 1.4 wind. So when you look at that, it might have been somewhere around a 9.73 because of the wind. In other words, Usain Bolt got robbed of yet another world championship that would have made his already extremely impressive career that much more impressive. And we saw that he did eventually get his revenge, not only in the 200 meters that was a few days later, but at the London 2012 Olympic Games, where he would do the double yet again.